try to get through this pretty quickly. Anyway, tin snips. The size of the tin snip is determined by the length of the tin snip itself. We'll use them for fascia and soffit material. Okay. Box cutter or utility knife. Also have a flat screwdriver. The length of the screwdriver determines also the size. They also come with a Phillips screwdriver, and those tips are a 1, 2, and a 3. And then you have different blade lengths also. With a Phillips screwdriver and a flat screwdriver. I have a scratch awl used for metal. This point needs to be pretty sharp, but we use it with metal. But it's called an awl or a scratch awl. Here's kind of an interesting tool. It's called a marking gauge. I've got a scale on this side right here with a scribe right here, and it can be adjusted easily there. And I use it to make parallel lines on wood or metal. It's called a marking gauge. Okay. I've got a curved claw hammer, and I've got a rip claw hammer. Hammers are sized by the weight of their head. This happens to be a 16 ounce. This happens to be a 20 ounce framing hammer. A lot of different squares. Speed square, one that we use the most anymore, and it's relatively new compared to all these other squares. Okay, but a speed square gives me 90-degree lines to the edge of the dimensional lumber. I can mark out angles of common rafters, angles of hip rafters and valley rafters. I've got a scale up here, but it's called a speed square. Combination square. Combination square has a ruler. I have a 90-degree angle. I have a 45-degree angle. I have a little spirit level right here. Also, I have a spot for a scribe in which I can also scribe in metal, that type of thing. But a combination square. Sliding T-bevel. Sliding T-bevel or an angle finder. I can use that to transfer angles from one spot to another, or even get an angle and measure it on my speed square and find out what angle that is. But it's a angle finder or a sliding T-bevel. I have a tri-square. Used to use this quite a bit. Don't use it that much anymore, but I've got a scale and I've got a 90-degree angle. Framing square. Used to use these a lot when laying out rafters. We now can use much easier use a speed square. So, but they're still around and we use those things a lot. The square another square that I have out in the metal shop leaning up against the Ford engine is a large square. At least it's just simply a 90-degree angle if you're using to lay out trailer frames. Putty knife or scraping tool, and they're denoted by the blade width. Two pieces things here I have here would be a rasp, a couple different types of rasp to take off wood basically on the edges. Okay, it looks like a cheese grate, but it's referred to as a rasp. Okay, level. This happens to be a 4-foot level. I can make things level, or level, and when I say level, to the horizontal, or they can be plumb to the vertical. Okay, come in different lengths. This happens to be a 4-foot. You've got little spirit levels. You also can get 6-foot levels and even larger ones. Clamps. I have a picture frame clamp or a strap clamp. So I might call this a strap clamp. But when you loosen that, put each one of these things in each one of the 4 corners of a rectangle or square, it's pretty darn accurate. It works really good, but it's called a picture frame clamp or a strap clamp. Parallel clamp. Okay, we've got 3 different sizes of parallel clamps, 2 different sizes in the cabinet, and one a larger set over here on a tree. But a parallel clamp, an easy way to remember this is the wood jaws normally are parallel. Okay, bar clamp. We've got a lot of different bar clamps, a lot of different lengths, and to span a distance, and we can clamp things together pretty tight there, like that. Different saws. We have a coping saw without a blade. We don't use a coping saw very much anymore. What we do have are power tools for that. I have the red scroll saw, we have a reciprocating scroll saw, and we have a handheld jigsaw. So we don't use this saw very much anymore, but it's called a coping saw. Hacksaw, okay, used to cut metal. Like most saws, it's made to cut as you on the downstroke, okay, but it's a hacksaw. Okay, these teeth are a little bit different. In fact, all the saws are rated on teeth per inch, and so I've got that would be about 18 teeth per inch. Two saws right here. I've got a rip saw, and when I look at the blades or the teeth on the rip saw, the teeth are straight across in like a chisel type action, and that's called a rip saw. Crosscut saw is cutting across the grain, and those teeth at the bottom are angled for cross cutting. They don't interchange very well, and so the saw blades that we have on our power saws are saw blades that have both. They're in combination. But ripping, going with the grain, cross cutting, going across the grain. Back saw, it's got a rigid back and used in combination with a miter gauge, or not a miter gauge, but a miter box. I've got a set of hole saws. Probably should buy another set, but this can work in a drill or a drill press and cut out different sizes of holes, but a hole saw set. Also in the tool cabinet, I just simply have a stop. Work in combination with our power miter box, or we could use it in combination with the chop saw. I just simply clamp that to the table so I can mass produce certain lengths. A block plane, don't use a block plane very much. They make power block planes, or you could use a jointer. Might need to take a little bit of an edge off of a door to get it working right, but we don't use many planes anymore. This had to be a block plane. There's jack planes and different types of planes, and that I just simply want you to be aware of that. A divider, if I need to transfer a length from one spot to another, I can do that with this divider or lay distances out. Okay. A scraper, taking off paint or varnish. I have a slip joint pliers. Pliers are denoted by the length from one end to the other. Different chisels. Something pretty narrow, something a little bit wider. Working a chisel, I simply just work it in and work this heel as a fulcrum. And so if I want to make a deep cut, I move the fulcrum up, tap that down, get the depth of cut I'm looking for, and then just work that lever up just a little bit. But we've got wood chisels. Different bars. I've got a flat bar. You can use this a lot of different ways. Okay, sometimes it works really good. Sometimes your application doesn't call for a flat bar, but it might call for a crow's foot. Okay, crow's foot is used to, I need to get a 16 penny nail out. I can take that, tap that down, and work that up underneath that nail head, and that really works really good. But it works, or it's called a crow's foot. Crowbar, and most of you used a crowbar before. Okay. Drills. I've got a titanium coated drill bit, double fluted. That means there's two flutes pulling material out. Can be used for wood or metal. Okay. We've got several of these. Spade bit or power bit can be only used for wood. Comes in different sizes right here. Forstner bit, also different sizes right here with a brad point. Works really good for making accurate holes. One drill that we don't use much of is a bit and a brace. This is a bit, and it's an auger bit, one set of flutes. Okay, on the end of that, it has like a wood screw that pulls it into the material, and it's used in combination with a brace, and that's basically a holder. And we don't use that much anymore. Okay, two fly cutters, and I can adjust right here. I can adjust right here to cut different holes, okay? As well as I can do with this fly cutter right here. I could loosen the set screw right here and move this in and out into the diameter I'm after. So that's kind of a quick introduction to some basic woodworking tools.